Hello from New Options New Mexico. If you've created an account and entered your WorkKey scores, you're ready for the next step of building your resume. This is a long video, so you'll see on the screen a table of contents showing you where in the video to fast forward to in order to view the section you're interested in. Alright, Create Resume is the third step. We click on the Create Resume button. The top box asks you about confidentiality. You will want to check confidential if you want to hide your information from recruiters searching resumes in the database. You typically do this if for some reason you don't want your current employer to know you're looking for a job. Now, I'm always very open and honest with my employers and tell them whenever I'm job hunting, so I'm going to check non-confidential. The next step is to name your resume. In some cases, you may be creating more than one resume for different skill sets, so name the resume in a way that helps you keep track of which resume emphasizes which skills. I'm going to keep only one resume on file, so I'm just going to call it Geek Chick Resume Number 1. Okay, name, address, state is actually a pull down on the next one, all the way to New Mexico. Zip, email, and phone number are pre-filled out based on what you wrote before. The bottom question asks if you're a U.S. citizen. Obviously, you check yes if you are a U.S. citizen. If you're not a U.S. citizen, then check no. But what will happen is when you speak to the employer later, he or she will ask you to show your green card or work permit. Career level. Okay, there are a lot of choices here, but let's say I'm a student still in high school, so I'll check that one. And then I press Save and Continue if I want to keep filling out this form. Or if I have to go do something else for a while, I can check Save for Later, and that will store everything I've done before so I can come back and finish filling out the form at a later date. Alright, here's where we get into the meat of the resume. The top section is work experience. Since I'm still in high school and I'm going to be applying for my first job this summer, I don't have traditional work experience. But I have done a lot of things that show I'm responsible, dependable, and hardworking. For example, I spent the last 3 months babysitting for my neighbor, so I'm definitely going to include that as work experience. The employer name is the woman I babysat for, Juanita Chama. She lives in Albuquerque, New Mexico, U.S., and the job title was the title of my job, not hers, so it's babysitter. I worked for her over the summer, so from June 2011 to August 2011. And she paid me $7 per hour. Now, this really wasn't a steady gig, so I'll put occasional next to average hours worked per week to indicate that she just hired me every so often. May we contact your supervisor? In this case, it would be Juanita Chama, so yes, because I know she would have good things to say about the work I did for her. Duties. Here I'm going to list all the different things I did while babysitting, like took care of a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, helping to feed them dinner and put them to bed. I should also include something that indicates how well I did the job. Was recommended by this employer to 4 of her friends as, quote, the best babysitter I ever hired. Pretty neat. Ah, look, we missed something. Supervisor's name. Here we go again. Juanita Chama. And phone number. Alright, now say I had misspelled babysitter. There is a spell checker built into this system, and I could hit spell check. There we go. Babysitter is spelled wrong. I'll change that. And now you don't see any little red lines and everything, so the spelling is correct. Now, it's very important to always spell check your resume because employers will notice. Many employers, especially those for better jobs, will instantly throw out an application if they see a spelling error on it because it indicates that you just didn't bother very much. It's simple to run the spell checker, go ahead and do it. If you want a second level of proofing, ask a friend to look it over because sometimes you'll use two words that are actually correct words that mean something in English, so the spell checker won't catch it, but they won't actually be the words that you meant. Alright, once I finish spell checking, I click Save and Add Experience. Notice that when the page reloads, it will come up with another blank work experience screen that looks like the one we just completed. This allows me to enter another job I may have done. This could be lawn care, helping my dad build a shed, anything that would normally require a grown-up to do and that I did well. No, cleaning your room doesn't count because that's a kid job. But every time you enter a job that you did and push save, you're building your list of experience. The next section to fill out is education. That's actually at the bottom of the same page, but you don't see it unless you scroll way down, so don't miss it. Here I'll put in the name of my school, its location, okay, degree level obtained. Well, I'm still in high school, so I'd have to say some high school coursework. But I am intending to graduate about 2 years from now, so that would be May of 2013. Major, minor, those are things that really apply only to college level students, so I'll leave them blank. GPA. Well, my GPA isn't all that great. Say it's a 1.7 out of 4.0. I have two choices here. I can either put down 1.7 or 4.0, or I can leave this section blank and let my work key scores, which are pretty good, speak for themselves. So I'll do that. Total credits earned, that's something for college. System for awarding credits, also college, leave those blank. Relevant coursework. Well, here is where I would put courses that either show I'm an especially good student or I learned some special skills. So I'll put down my computer science course because not everyone takes that and it shows I have computer skills. And I'll also put down my AP chemistry course because that shows that I did advanced work in chemistry. If you had a college or advanced degree, then after you press Save in Education and it reloaded with a blank screen again, you would add those degrees at that point in time. The next section is going to be job-related training. This is for any classes that you've taken outside of school. For example, if you took a special driver's ed class from some company to learn how to drive a long-haul truck, you'd put that here. But I don't have any of that, so I'll just save and continue. Oh, and see the save and go back button? You can use that if you remember something that you need to add. It'll save everything you've done so far, but allow you to go back and edit previous sections. Now we're on to references. Look at this green set of arrows up here. This allows you to navigate back to basic sections and put something in or change something. Right now we're on related information, which includes references. References are people who have seen your work and can say good things about you. Professional means that you met them when you were working on a job somewhere. Personal means that they are friends of yours or your family. I will put down Juanita Chama, the person I babysat for, as a reference because I know she'll say good things about me. She doesn't belong to a company, and her title would probably be family friend. That's a nice way of saying she's a friend of the family. Phone number, email, and Juanita, because I worked for her, I would say she's a professional reference. She could also be called a personal reference. Generally speaking, teachers and supervisors are professional references, family members, and personal friends are personal references. But I'll leave that as professional. I could also add my chemistry teacher here since I did really well in chemistry. Typically speaking, you'll want to put down about 3 references. However, if there's only one person you're sure that can say something nice about you, put down one person. Don't ever put down people who might say something not nice about you. Also, when you're going to use someone as a reference, it's a really good idea to call them and tell them that you're going to put them down as a reference. That way they'll be prepared when the employer calls them and have nice things to say about you. It's very bad if the employer calls someone and they can't remember who you are, or they're so startled they say something they didn't mean to say. So always talk to your references before you add them to this form. Alright, additional language skills. I speak French, so I'll choose French. My spoken French is medium, so I'll choose intermediate. My written French is not very good, more like a beginner, so I'll choose novice. And my reading level French is advanced. Add language. Alright, professional publications. Since I'm in high school, it's unlikely I have any professional publications, but I can list anything I have published, if that's happened, like a poem or an article in the school paper. So say I wrote an article for my school paper. I would write this down in bibliographic format, which you can get from your teacher, or perhaps you've already learned in school, or you can just follow this example. Like that. And again, run the spell check if you're not sure, or even if you are sure. Alright, additional information. This is where you put down things that maybe you want people to know about you. Something that hasn't been covered in any other category. In my case, I'm going to say I'm a self-taught programmer, able to program in Fortran and BASIC. This next section on availability has 2 parts. The top part talks about how far into the future do you want this job to last. There are really 2 choices. One is permanent, which means indefinitely, for years and years, and all the other choices are some version of temporary, weeks or months. If I'm looking for a summer job, what I want to do is I want to check temporary, term, intermittent, seasonal, summer, federal career intern, and student career experience. Now, why didn't I just check summer? The reason I didn't check just summer is because sometimes employers miscategorize their jobs, and they can use any one of these terms to describe a job that lasts only a few months and happens to be over the summer. So to catch all the possibilities, I'm going to check all of those choices. The bottom section here tells me what kind of schedule, or tells the employer what kind of schedule I'd want. Full-time means working 35 to 40 hours a week. Part-time, more like 5 to 20 hours a week. Shift work, working odd hours, typically evenings or nights. Intermittent means every so often, not a regular schedule. Job share is very rare. Basically, you and another person are sharing the hours in a particular job. For me, I have a little sister that I have to take care of, and so I can't work a full 40 hours a week, so I want a part-time summer job. That's what I'll check. Desired work environment. This part you really can just skip, so we'll skip it. And we push save and continue to get to the next page. Alright, we're almost done. Make resume searchable. If you push activate resume, it will be available for all the employers to look at and find you. But because it will be live, you might not want to do that just yet. What you may want to do first is preview your resume to make sure it looks just right. If it doesn't, you can then go back using the edit button next to create a resume to go back and change things that didn't come out the way you wanted to. There are 2 kind of gobbledygook things here, resume value and resume headline. Those are put in automatically by the computer. They're not things you can change or edit. Don't worry about them. What you're looking at is everything else to make sure it came out looking like you wanted it to look with all the right information. If you're done with that, push I'm finished. Now the resume looks fine, so I will activate my resume. At this point, I'm completely set up to apply for a job. But to learn how to search for a job or apply for a job, See our other two videos which take you through each of these processes. That's it for this video. Thank you for joining us and good luck in your job search.